Hello, this is a Mr. Maple intro. We're going to talk about Japanese maples and conifers. If you're into that kind of thing, make sure to stick around, y'all. Konnichiwa, y'all, and welcome to the 10 at 10 for February 1st of 2024. I'm Matt, that's my brother Tim.
Guys, we're MrMaple.com. We do our 10 at 10 videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so check them out. And today we're going to be talking about 10 trees, but you might notice we've only got 2 trees on the table right now. We're going to try a new format, so tell us in the comments how you like it.
All right, guys, let's get into it. First, we got Pia Pons The Blues. Now, this is a very desirable dwarf conifer, kind of compact, gets a little bigger with age, but typically in that 5 to 6 foot range, even in 10 years. This was an introduction by Larry Stanley.
It has this really nice weeping habit to it. It was found as a sport on Pia Pons glauca, and it just cascades in a really nice fashion, adding some good blue color in the landscape that you can't get on many trees. Contrasts well out there in the garden. Plant a summer gold next to this to add that extra pop. Yeah, this has such a great shape to it. That weeping habit, you can kind of stake it and manipulate it a little bit. I love how this looks in a big container. You can kind of have it going over, kind of weeping over a rock wall or something. This tree is going to work zones 3 through 7, and it adds some of that blue color that's so desirable to the landscape. You got to get you a Pia Pons The Blues today. So guys, we have an upcoming open house. That's going to be April 5th and 6th. Don't miss that one. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think you guys are absolutely going to be blown away by some of the things we got coming on that day. We're going to be open that Friday. It's going to be the main day, and that's going to be from 8 until 5, and then we're going to be open Saturday just from 8 to 12. I do have the Groovy Grease Wagon food truck confirmed for Friday, so we're going to have a place that has breakfast and lunch here. Come check it out. It's going to be a whole fun day of activities here at Mr. Maple. Trying to figure out that game show still format, so we're going to have some fun stuff going on, and that's going to be Friday. Saturday's extra little bonus day till 12, so definitely come check us out one of those 2 times, April 5th and 6th. And if you're in town and you want to do a top 5 video, let us know. We actually would love to shoot a top 5 video with you at our open house. It's one of our most fun times to see everybody and see cool plants, so be there or be square.
All right, guys, who likes Led Zeppelin? We've got one of our introductions here on the table. We actually named this one here at our nursery, and it's called Cashmere. You can guess, Tim and I are sitting around Grafton listening to some classic rock. Of course, Cashmere is on our mind. This tree is a seedling that we absolutely loved the growth rate of. It's kind of a fairy hair style tree with a little bit of a twist to it.
We found this tree, and it just had this thread-like needle to it. We said, man, that tree really looks like fairy hair in the springtime. The leaves do mature and get a little bit more Kotonoito-like by about mid-spring to late summer. But it is outstanding. It's much, much more thread leaf than a Kotonoito.
And it's much more vigorous than a fairy hair.
It is. And so this is our introduction. Talon Buchholz has been growing it for quite a while, and he was like, I really like this plant you started growing. I'm like, well, it's kind of our take on fairy hair.
Right.
But it's one that is a little more vigorous for us here in Western North Carolina.
Yeah, if you saw our most highly anticipated releases, this one I think might have been on the ones you hadn't heard of yet, or was it on the most highly anticipated releases? Either way, this is one of the Mr. Maple introductions that's hitting this year for the very first time, straight out of the Area 51 collection. And I like how some of the growth gets a little bit of a twist to it. Gives a little something extra going on. Some great pink fall color to this as well. Just an overall outstanding plant, Acer Pomum Cashmere.
Now, it is going to sell out today very fast, so make sure you check out quickly because, you know, our website doesn't hold it for you until you complete that checkout process. It's a cool plant, and you're a cool person, so get one.
Gotta love the Zeppelin names. All right, guys, next up we've got Sucanadensis Pendula.
Y'all, I love the hemlocks. They're so fun and interesting. They add a nice, unique evergreen interest on some of our natives. And this is a weeping selection called Pendula that twists and contorts and has that strong cascading habit.
Hey, it's weeping, but you can cheer it up a little bit by putting it in your yard, giving it a good home to go to. These sad cats, we'll make it like the adoption video. These are weeping trees. Please adopt these trees and put them in your yard. Only you can help. Now,
cue the Sarah McLachlan.
I will remember you, Sucanadensis Pendula. Awesome plant. This one tends to sell it very quickly as well. People love this one. The weeping hemlock really adds some good texture and color to the landscape as well. We've really been bringing it with those conifers. You're going to be surprised by some of these on the table. Love this one for what it does. The texture, though, really plays well off a lace leaf. So if you're going to put this near a Crimson Queen or a Red Dragon or something like that, you're going to get great color contrast, but also great texture interest.
Now, this is a fun tree to stake up. This was a tree that was grown by our Buchholz farm and has been staked up. You'll see 2 different styles of stakes. One is staked up straight, and that gives it a really nice uniform style. This one here was allowed to twist and curve more as it's staked. And so you can play with how you shape these on stakes.
Kind of like Rayusen.
To give them a very unique interest, because this does have a heavily twisting habit with a little bit of a contorted shape. So accentuate that whenever you're growing it. An amazing weeping conifer to add.
All right, y'all. And always, if you see things you want, but you're going to be at our Texas meetup or at our open house, there's codes to reserve those. So you can do the no shipping code if you're going to be picking it up at open house. We do have that Texas meetup coming up as well. So be ready for that, y'all. We're going to be doing a Texas meetup the week after open house. We're going to be going to Stephen F. Austin University as well as the Dallas Arboretum. Check our website and check our Facebook group for dates on that.
Guys, next up we've got Acer Pomum Pastel. It's one of the new Ghost selections by Talon Buchholz. It's got a really nice pastel color to it with some pastel pinks. Go into some pastel creams later. It's an outstanding new selection with a strong upright form.
Now, I love this one. It's underrated, I think. I think it's going to get more popular. I look at this one as a variation of Amber Ghost. Amber Ghost, a lot of people's favorite ghost. This one has a very similar shape to Amber Ghost. It has a lot of that vigor. If you give it some early morning sun, you can actually get some really nice kind of orange pastel colors early spring. Now in shade, it's almost a white, so it can get some funky colors going on to it. I've been a huge fan of what this one does, though. It's very interesting, very colorful, and just really brings it. That reticulated variegation is just one of the most outstanding color patterns. Put this next to something like a Magi Shiguri or Purple Ghost. If you have a reticulated collection, it's really going to show out.
I was so interested in a lot of Talon Buchholz's introductions because a lot of his descriptions say that many of his ones that I thought were going to come from Amber Ghost came from Purple Ghost.
Right.
And a lot of the ones I thought would come from Purple Ghost came from Amber Ghost. And I think Pastel is actually one of the ones that came from Purple Ghost. And so it's just crazy that it has all these unique colors.
All right, we've got another shocker here on the table. I think you're going to be surprised about this one. This is one I didn't see us offering. Many people have heard me say this one doesn't grow so well in the South, but it does do great in the Pacific Northwest. It does do great in the up north in the East Coast. So we're going to be bringing Chief Joseph to you guys today.
Now, it grows in zones 5 through 8. You may see that, but heat index is something that's very different than your cold hardiness zone, and it doesn't do well in the South. You can try it, but we don't recommend it. It's always a chance you might find the right spot.
There's always exceptions to the rule in horticulture. You never say never. I'm going to try one again in my garden. I know our nursery manager at Buchholz just bought a big one of these for his garden. It's an outstanding plant because of the color patterns. I mean, Chief Joseph was popular for good reason. It can be a little finicky in the South. I always let people know that one. I'm not a huge fan of it for the deep South, for sure.
Now, Chief Joseph was found growing naturally in the wild in the Wallowa Mountains. It's named after one of the chiefs of the Wallowa Indians. It has one of the brightest yellow colors of any of the conifers, and that's why it's so popular. It's a Pinus contorta, so the leaf, the needle itself, twists just a little bit, adding a little bit of unique texture out there with that addition of that bright yellow color. Absolutely
brilliant plant. We've got a few big ones of these at the Buchholz farm, and they're gorgeous. Joel recently went out and took some pictures of them in the snow. I'm sure that's what inspired him to get one for his own garden. So it's certainly a plant you can grow in a lot of places. Again, the South can be a little more challenging. I never say never for people. There's always exceptions, but Chief Joseph, awesome looking plant.
And one of the great things is our listeners are all over the world.
Right.
And all over the United States we're shipping, the Northeast, Northwest, and that's why we're offering it on Mr. Maple, because we can grow it now at the Buchholz farm.
Right.
And it's LTO.
Phenomenal plant. Guys, let us know if you're excited about some of our upcoming podcasts. We've got upcoming podcasts with Bree Arthur, with Mark Wethington. We already aired our one with Bryce Lane. I know that very soon we'll have just some outstanding ones hitting that podcast there. We're also going to be doing more countdowns, so that always factors in. But we've been trying to get out and get more interview content for you. So go find our podcast, give them 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it.
Guys, next up we've got Acer Pomum Satsuki Bennie. And this is a purple nail type that just has this amazing color to it. And Satsuki Bennie actually refers to a red azalea. And that's because this thing has that unique spring interest just like an azalea does, and it grabs your attention out there in the garden.
I love the purple border this one has. I love the crisp round leaf it has. Also very crisp green foliage. Gives it a very clean, almost cartoonish-like look to Satsuki Bennie. You know, great one to be adding to the garden. It's going to have a lot of spring interest. Great midsummer colors. You do get to more of a light green midsummer. I've seen very bold oranges to light reds and yellows in this one in the fall. So you can get a bunch of colors going on in the fall. Typically, I get a lot of orange on this one though.
It's an outstanding tree. It has a more upright form than something like a Sumagaki, but it's actually a little more heat tolerant as well. Love this plant. It's an outstanding tree to use out in the garden.
All right, man, what do we got next on the table here? Tim's got to work for this one. This was fun. I suggest this format And he said, how about I carry him over? I'm like, let's do it, man.
I think we might have to have another person for the video in the future.
All right, guys. One of our most coveted conifers returning. I know our employees love this one. We got a bunch of big ones planned out now around Mr. Maple. We got Thya Orientalis Van Hoie Smith.
I love the color yellow, y'all, and this is an evergreen yellow. It has that new growth that is just bright yellow, variegated. It's got the green in there, so it contrasts well against the yellow itself. It's a good Thya arborvitae out there for the landscape that can give you some nice screening, and that's what we're starting to use them for here at Mr. Maple, and vibrant color in the landscape year-round.
These things are dope. I mean, everybody loves this color pattern-wise. I've got some of these, you know, just out as a backdrop. Put this next to Japanese maples. I mean, this is the perfect backdrop for something like a wave leaf, something dark, something purple, a Magi Shiguri. The color contrast is almost too much. I love how this one has that darker evergreen essence to it with that bright yellow splash going on top of it. It really just is a showstopper. I mean, one of our neighbors wasn't so happy about us putting out some trees, and I think he started looking at them and thought they were pretty good looking.
Yeah, I mean, forget the Leland Cypress, forget the Emerald Greens, forget the Green Giants, plant you a Van Hoie Smith, and you're not only going to add a screen between your neighbor, but you're going to put a smile on your neighbor's face.
All right, man, what's up next? Chop, chop. What do we got next?
Hey, now.
All right, guys, coming to you next, we got Acer Pomum Xi, the chicken foot maple. What a name, right?
And it's got that name because it looks like a chicken foot. No, that's not the case at all. The guy who actually introduced this, they say, didn't wear shoes.
Shoes, oh, he had rough feet.
And he had rough feet.
Oh boy, what a romantic name. So, Xi, really cool bark interest. This one is a yellow-pink bark type. I actually liked it at least out in the spring with a little bit of pink interest too. Right now, you can get some incredible shades of yellow going on. I've seen this in the spring have a blushing of pink over the whole tree and some orangey to reddish fall color, which is a little uncommon for a coral bark type.
Take this tree and plant an evergreen backdrop or something like the blues that we have today, and you're going to have a contrast with the bark itself and that blue color. An evergreen backdrop works fine as well. When you do that and you give a backdrop to these coral bark selections like Xi, you're going to add a unique interest and really show off the bark even better during those winter months. If you plant this out on top of a hill with not a backdrop, it's going to get lost. You put this tree with a backdrop close to it, you're just going to show off and shine in the garden. I
love how orange this bark can get too. You can get some really nice shades of orangey yellow. Just an overall great plant. Got a lot of vigor to it too. I mean, this one's going to work zone 6 through 9. Typically over a foot to a foot, maybe even a half a growth a year. So very vigorous for us. I think you're going to enjoy this one, especially in some of those warmer zones. Excellent durability for its heat tolerance. And it's just been an overall great plant. We got some weird ones coming to the table today, guys.
Guys, you probably haven't seen many lyrics on our website until we bought Buckholtz Nursery. And I love them. They're a deciduous conifer. They drop their needles during the winter like a bald cypress or a dawn redwood does. They're such an interesting plant that can give you some good fall color. This particular one is one called Larix Peve Tunnus.
Now, Piet Vergelt, as we've talked about many times on this channel, likes to put his signature on his trees. Peve Starfish, Peve Dave. There's so many great ones. His son, Tyne Vergelt, actually came and visited us a few years ago here at the nursery with Hank Van Campen. Really nice people. Really enjoyed meeting him. And this one, I believe, is one he found.
And this was one that was found and named after St. Tunnus, which is an area the locals call St. Tunnus. And he put the name Peve for Piet Vergelt, and then Peve and Tunnus.
Very cool.
It's a small little dwarf. It gets about 2 to 3 feet tall, about 2 to 3 feet wide. Fitting in those small gardens, great for conifer beds. I will recommend one thing especially important for Larix is good drainage. That's something that they require, even more so than many of the other conifers. If you overwater them, they may drop their needles early and go into an early state of dormancy. Don't worry, let them dry out, they'll re-needle, and the tree will be good to go. Now,
Larix are deciduous conifers, so don't fret when they drop leaf. That's what they're supposed to do. We get asked about that a good bit, actually. I'm either surprised how many people think, why did my tree go dormant on Dawn Redwoods and Larix? Bringing back some big boys. We got some 3-gallon Emperor 1s.
Y'all, we always try to list 3 gallons whenever we can. Many of the varieties we're just starting to get more and more available in the 3-gallon sizes. And right now, Emperor 1, a classic red upright, easy to grow, 15 feet in 10 years. It's going to be one that holds its color really well and leaves out 2 weeks later to avoid letter threat or frost. It's a heat-tolerant red upright Japanese maple you should try in your garden.
A lot of times people ask me what's one of the best red uprights. They're looking for a larger tree, You know, they're in Dallas. They're in a hotter climate. Think about Emperor One. It outperforms Bloodgood typically in high heat zones. It grows a little faster than Fireglow. We do love Fireglow for that as well, but it's going to be smaller. Emperor One's typically 1.5 foot of growth a year. It is on that upper scale for growth rate. Typically tends to be one of the fastest Japanese maples, kind of right behind Seiryu and Orange Flame for that height. But great plant to be growing. Takes off. Great durability. I love this tree for its durability. It kind of eats the sun up a little bit, and just an excellent tree to be growing. Holds its color really well into the summer as well.
Can you believe we've already talked about 10 trees? Guys, we've got 20 getting listed today. Sign up for our weekly email on MrMaple.com, and you can get that next week whenever we list the next set of trees. And you can go on today at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and see the trees that are listing today.
Take care.
God bless.
Have a great day.